I'm Brian Salzer with Broadcast Beat and NAB Show Live. Just want to share that, again, we are coming to you live from the NAB Show with remote production. So we've got a crew with a camera, cellular backpack from Live View. It goes back to Fort Lauderdale to our studios, into a control room. Maybe you guys can show a shot of that control room real quick, and then back to the NAB Show site to go live. Really awesome, amazing example of remote production, which is a hot thing right now. Of course, Greg Riker, we're at the ThinkAnalytics booth with you.
There you go.
Let's talk about the amazing things you guys are doing.
I'll tell you, what we're all about is engagement and personalization and really making the experience for the user watching TV more relevant to themselves, right? And, with the world of content today, there's so much content and so many choices that are available out there. How do you surface the content? How do you find things that you want to watch? And really the key is all about making it important for you or us as consumers, right? So what we do is we basically use a lot of data that's kind of coming off of the TV set that starts to generate something, these different types of recommendations and, to bring content that you might look like, right? In terms of different taste profiles that you might have, or you might like Marvel, I might like horror, and it just starts to drive the experience of a very personalized approach. And what that does is it allows the operators and the streamers to really take a differentiated approach to the experience, but also begin to monetize it a little bit better. And really the key in the industry today is keeping your customers, engaged and happy and sticky within the environment. And the way you do that is just make the experience on the TV set relevant to you.
So, for example, I know it's going to sound funny. I watch the Golden Girls all the time, right? So if I select the Golden Girls, and then I'm like, all right, I want Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So you're literally analyzing that data, and then you know that maybe a lot of people like Seinfeld. Golden Girls, you might like this, or something like that?
It's specific to you, right?
Yeah.
So what we really do is we start to capture the behavior that you're experiencing on the TV. So whatever you start to watch, we create what we call a taste profile. And what that's doing is it's just kind of creating an entire relationship with what you like to watch. And then we start using some very sophisticated machine language and AI that basically makes these recommendations that, because you like Golden Girls, you might like all of these other different types of shows, or, we use something called because you've watched, right? Because you watched Golden Girls, you might like this. Or we'll do something called recommended for you. So it might not be Golden Girls per se, but it might be a lot of the different genres and the different themes and all of these type of things that you might like to watch. And we're surfacing that content. And the key with all this is about keeping you engaged and continuing to watch those shows. And what we're finding, what's super important to the content owners, is there's this huge proliferation of content out there and content spend. And most people are watching a very small segment of that content. How do you open up those assets so people are, not only watching, the top 5 shows that you've got on your system, but the top 100, again, just to start leveraging the expense.
Yeah, I guess, in many cases, they might not even know that the content exists at all until you think the analytics out, right?
That's exactly right.
And then figure that out, and magically they're watching episodes of shows they never knew existed.
Right? And what we're finding also when it comes to, we do a lot of analysis, kind of understanding when customers are going to leave the service, or the churn whole concept. And what we can do is we can begin to predict people that are more likely to churn based on their usage or their behavior, right? So a good example would be what we found is consumers that watch a lot of movies in a very short period of time will tend to churn very quickly because they'll burn through the movies that they know and they'll jump over to the next service. So the goal is to really drive them to make more episodic shows, maybe like Game of Thrones, you might like this series. Right. Again, to keep them engaged and keep them sticky and keep them just really enjoying the service themselves. So the other thing that we're doing, which I find is super cool, is this whole chatbot world we're in right now. So we're doing a lot of work with some of the social networks and just driving the ability to integrate your experience with social media, whether it's Discord or WhatsApp or some of those, where show me, can you recommend something that I might watch using the same environment that you use for the TV recommendations. Come back and say you might like these Marvel movies at this time, and boom, boom, boom. So it's really some advanced stuff that we're looking at, and how do we take just that seamless experience across all these different screens. So that's super cool, right? And I'm still learning the chatbot stuff, right? I wish I was in college right now where I could write some papers with that. But I mean, we're really, expanding the bounds of how you can use this technology in the world of recommendations.
So I assume this is all hosted in the cloud, and did you guys manage that way?
Yeah, we're a big partner with AWS, so it's from our standpoint, really leveraging the concept of SaaS, and again, just being able to hit all the screens, all of the content, regardless of where you're at. So. Yeah,
so it's exciting. You can just spin it up, at the drop of a hat. Thank you so much, Greg Riker.
Appreciate it.
ThinkAnalytics here in West Hall. I really appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.